Desmond's Flicks is made possible by the incredible support from the Patreon community. If you'd like to help support the channel and keep it going, consider becoming a Patreon today. Link is in the description below. Plus, you'll gain access to awesome perks. Now let's get into the video. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning was released in 2006 and is a prequel to the 2003 remake. Directed by Jonathan Liebesman and starring Jordana Brewster, Matt Bomer, and R. Lee Ermey. The film grossed $51.8 million at the box office on a budget of $16 million. Due to the critical and commercial failure, Platinum Dunes would not be producing any further Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. The next film in the franchise wouldn't be released until 2013. Before we go any further, I will be going into full plot spoilers. So if you'd like to avoid these spoilers, skip ahead to the timestamp on screen. The film opens in 1939 at a slaughterhouse in Texas. A woman gives birth to a deformed baby while working, then dies. Afterward, the manager throws the baby in a dumpster. A young Luda May finds the baby and takes him back to the Hewitt house. She then names him Thomas and raises him as her own. 30 years later, Thomas works under the same manager who left him in the dumpster. The health department shuts the plant down, but Thomas refuses to leave. That is until the manager makes him. Later, Thomas returns and murders his manager. He then finds a chainsaw, which he takes with him. Down the road, Sheriff Hoyt attempts to arrest Thomas. However, Charlie Hewitt kills him and assumes the sheriff's identity. Brothers Eric and Dean are driving cross-country with their girlfriends, Chrissy and Bailey, to enlist in the Vietnam War. The group runs into a biker gang with one that continues to follow them. She draws a shotgun, then orders them to pull over. Eric pulls his gun and looks away from the road, then suddenly crashes into a cow. Chrissy is thrown from the car and into a field. When Sheriff Hoyt arrives, he kills the biker, then forces the trio into his car along with the body of the biker. Hoyt then calls Monty to tow the Jeep, which Chrissy is hiding in. Hoyt drives to the Hewitt residence where he has Thomas take the biker's body out to butcher in the basement. Hoyt holds Eric, Dean, and Bailey as his captives. Monty brings the wrecked car home, while Chrissy runs to the highway, flagging down the biker's boyfriend and later returning to the house with him. Hoyt tortures Dean for attempting to dodge the draft. Eric takes the opportunity to break free when Hoyt leaves and hides Dean while he sneaks in the house to find Bailey. After being freed by Eric, Bailey escapes in Monty's truck. Unfortunately, her escape is short-lived as Thomas teleports from the basement to the road, stabs her with a meat hook, then drags her back to the house. Dean also attempts to escape but is caught in a bear trap, while Eric is knocked unconscious by Hoyt. Holden and Chrissy arrive at the house. Unfortunately for Chrissy, Holden has no intention of helping her friends.
What?
My friends!
Fuck your friends.
You asshole!
Chrissy goes looking for Dean, while Holden takes Hoyt hostage to find his girlfriend. Hoyt yells for Thomas, who appears and quickly overpowers Holden. He's then held down by Hoyt and chainsawed in half by Thomas. Chrissy finds Eric. His arms are skinned and she's unable to free him. Suddenly, Thomas returns and Chrissy hides under the slab Eric's laying on. Thomas then begins to examine Eric's face, kills him with the chainsaw, then skins his face to wear as a mask. Chrissy begins to flee from the house, but decides to go back in when she hears Bailey screaming. She finds Bailey upstairs, but it's a trap set by Hoyt. He then takes Chrissy to dinner, where we find an unconscious Dean, along with Bailey, who's had all of her teeth removed. Under the instruction of Luda May to set her free, Thomas slits Bailey's throat, killing her, then attempts to take Chrissy to the basement. Chrissy is able to stab him with a screwdriver and jumps out a window. Dean wakes up to find Bailey dead, then brutally beats Hoyt unconscious before heading out to find Chrissy. Chrissy runs to the slaughterhouse with Thomas closely behind. She grabs a knife and is able to cut his face, but she's ultimately overpowered. Dean shows up and is able to help long enough for Chrissy to escape, but unfortunately he too is killed with a chainsaw. Chrissy then finds an abandoned car and drives off. Just as she sees a state trooper and a pedestrian down the road, Thomas appears in the back seat and saws through her with the chainsaw. This causes her to lose control of the car, crashing into both the trooper and pedestrian. The film ends with Thomas leaving the car and walking back towards the Hewitt house. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning is dark, mean, and brutal from beginning to end. The level of violence and gore is at a whole other level for the franchise. Everything about the blood is sticky and nasty. It's also really well paced. We get right into the action. R. Lee Ermey gets a lot more screen time and chews up every single scene he's in. As far as dislikes, the main cast are incredibly one-dimensional. The characters and dialogue don't fit the time period whatsoever. This was an issue that I had with the remake as well, and it's something that takes me out of the film. I also couldn't stand how dumb these characters are. I also really don't need to find out how Hoyt got his teeth knocked out, or how he found his hat. It feels like the director is dropping a bunch of member berries. I find these dramatic references to a previous film to be annoying as hell. With that said, I'm going to give the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning a weekend rental. This was the third time I've watched The Beginning. It's also the first time I didn't hate it. I still have a lot of issues with the film, but I do appreciate how unapologetically dark, brutal, and gory this film is. Thank you to Patreon supporter Scott for requesting this franchise review of The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you'd like to request a horror franchise for me to review, become a Patreon at the executive producer level today. Link is in the description below.